What's up, guys? In today's episode, we are actually interviewing Jack Weaver. He's a seven-figure Amazon FBA seller, and he primarily sells video games. And I consider him my guru on online arbitrage. So if you guys are having trouble sourcing, or you want to sell video games, or you want to sell on Amazon, please put the questions in the chat section below. Jack is also one of our coaches. So in our Facebook group, if you have any questions about Amazon, he can help out with that. So let's get straight into this. Jack, we want to target and help people who are trying to build an FBA business who maybe have never tried it before, or they want to get into Amazon as supplemental. Because my channel is mainly eBay sellers. So you started also on eBay. Maybe we can start with why you transitioned from eBay to Amazon, and do you even still do eBay?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Chris, for having me. I really appreciate it, and happy to be part of your group, the Reselling Podcast Patreon. And it's really, that's I kind of got started a lot in your group, and I think it provides a lot of value. So, thanks for having me coach on there as well. But so I kind of got started on eBay, selling a lot of video games. I was really into gaming. I like to play games and then sell them, and I would sell on eBay, but it took a lot of time to ship and do everything myself to do that. So I was kind of looking for a solution to that and learned about Amazon and Amazon FBA. And I really liked the fact that it allowed me to scale my business by having Amazon kind of pick and ship the items for me. Right now, I sell usually over 100 video games per day, which would be kind of difficult to do all myself. And be able to ship all the items out daily. So kind of using Amazon to scale helped me a lot. And I think for a lot of like your audience who are mostly eBay, adding in something like Amazon to be able to scale to scale their business without needing to hire help, and being able to kind of use Amazon's fulfillment network is like super powerful for me to grow my business and kind of stay small with it and just focus on listing mostly.
One thing I have learned the most about you is I mean, most about FBA is how you plan your day. And I think that it's important to understand that you can definitely do Amazon while thrifting, especially, maybe used books. I
Mhm.
think that's an important way for people to recognize you don't have to only sell new wholesale stuff to get started on Amazon.
Right. Yeah. I got started like pretty much doing the eBay model on Amazon, going to thrift stores, going to garage sales and stuff like that. I had tried to do retail arbitrage before and didn't really work out that well for me. RA didn't I didn't really understand it completely. I do understand a little bit more now, but really what worked for me was kind of going to garage sales, picking up used books, picking up video games, stuff like that. And you can pretty much do the eBay model minus used clothing on Amazon by like sending in video games, sending in books and stuff like that. And actually starting with used books is one of the best ways to start like an Amazon business, is because it's a pretty open category and there's just so many books out there. And that's kind of where I got started, and then transitioned more into video games. And video games is mostly my business model now. Like mostly focusing on video game sales, like used games, and then doing some online arbitrage with new games as well.
So I think you have a topic prepared for tonight, but before we get into that, maybe
Sure.
you can just give maybe a top tip on online arbitrage, because that's something that I get a lot of questions about. How can I buy stuff at home? So that's like the definition of why this would be useful.
Yeah, I do quite a bit of online arbitrage. I do some on um, buying from retailers when there's sales for video games, especially during Black Friday. That's kind of a big time for video game sales, where the retailers will drop down the price of video games by a significant amount for about a week or so. And I'll buy a lot during that time. During like other parts of the year, I mostly focus on a lot of looking at deals and stuff like that, like deals that Best Buy might have, during weekly deals they might have. Take advantage of some deals with that. I follow a lot of Twitter accounts like Slick Deals, as well as some other deal accounts to find like online arbitrage deals. But I also buy a lot from like sites like eBay to flip to Amazon, because it tends to the Amazon pricing tends to be a little bit higher than eBay as well, or the price that you can get for games tends to be a little bit higher because there's more buyers on Amazon looking for it. but also just doing buying bulk, buying liquidation and stuff like that, and kind of breaking the lots down is helpful as well.
Awesome. So before we get into the questions on YouTube,
Mhm.
did you have a topic or anything specific you want to talk about today?
Probably just get into the questions on YouTube because the topic I have is more general to Amazon. So if anyone
Great.
has questions, it's cool.
So maybe the first question is, and this one is I think definitely online arbitrage is a sustainable business model, but what do you think about OA is maybe your only model?
Yeah. The thing with online arbitrage on Amazon is that um, it's going to be a little bit lower profit margins, especially if you're kind of buying from retailers like Target and places like that. Like generally, you're looking at lower margins, about like 20 to 30% ROI for online arbitrage. There's a lot of ways to go about it, though. You can buy bulk liquidation deals. You can buy bulk deals from eBay, and like you can kind of do some stuff to increase your margins as well. That's generally how I handle it with that. But as far as like online arbitrage, I would generally look to try to find like bulk liquidation deals you can take advantage of for a higher ROI, as opposed to just kind of doing the traditional OA model. Though there's a lot of people who can make OA work pretty well. It's just gotten very competitive.
Also, do you consider buying lots online arbitrage?
It's kind of like that's kind of what I was talking about with it, where that's kind of it's a little bit different of a model. That's more of like a kind of a bulk model of it, but I would kind of consider it to be that. It's generally not considered to be traditional online arbitrage. Like traditional online arbitrage in the FBA world would be kind of like you buy something from Target, you buy some vitamins or something like that, and you sell it on Amazon. Uh, there's also kind of the bulk model I was talking about with that, which is technically online arbitrage, but a little bit different, basically.
So this is kind of a, I'm glad that Trinity brought this up. She says that Amazon is a dream, but it scares her. I think a lot of people are afraid of Amazon. So what would you say as someone that's sold on both platforms? How can we get people to not be scared of it?
Yeah. So I was really like for eBay, I didn't like the shipping method of having to ship individual packages and having to go to the post office to ship all the time with it. So I kind of just got used to selling on Amazon. I think it's just something you have to get over. Like when I first got started on eBay, I didn't really understand much about the platform, but with Amazon, as you it is like as you put more time into it, I think you'll get more comfortable with it. So I think that you kind of just have to get started with it and have to like start learning a little bit about it, and then it'll like as you kind of grow with it, you'll start to learn more. And like everyone starts on eBay, kind of not knowing much about it, but over time you kind of get better at it. And I think it's just something that you kind of have to put some time into and kind of learn about, and over time you'll get better at it.
I agree with that. Just got to put some reps in, and I think that anxiety is just unfamiliarity. Happy Feet Harrison is asking. He tried to activate his account, and they are making him go through a seller verification process that requires to submit a bank and credit card statement. Oh, I'm sorry, bank or credit card statement. Is that common?
These days, it's a lot more common. Amazon used to be much easier to start an account on. They didn't have much verification at all. When I first started a long time ago, they basically didn't require almost anything to verify. There's been a lot more scams and stuff going on there, where generally you're going to have to verify your address, verify your bank account, and such. Especially if you're outside the U.S., it might be difficult to do that. But it is. I feel like it's definitely worth it to put the time into to do it, because over time you'll gain a lot from actually like putting in the time to actually get started on and make your account.
Also, for the record, I haven't sold on Amazon for a while, but I have an older account. And when I got ungated in Pokemon, they also asked me to submit a bank statement. So even if you've had your account for a while, they're still asking because my account's 5 years old.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I've seen too, especially if you've had your account for a while and haven't sold on it much. But over time, as you kind of get more sales, you'll continue to get ungated for more things. You'll get ungated for certain brands. It becomes easier as you continue to make more sales on there and make more kind of make more progress with it. And you're kind of building up a wall around your business sort of by being on Amazon, because a lot of people are not able to sell most things when they get started on it. Like many video games aren't something that you can sell immediately, and it's something that over time you get these advantages. Like for instance, you can sell Pokemon now, and not everyone can do it when they get started. And the more advantage you put on it, the more advantages you get on it, the higher prices you can sell for, because there's less sellers that can actually do it. So you gain a lot by continuing to kind of invest in the platform.
So this is a pretty common question, and there's a few versions of it being asked on returns. People are afraid of selling on Amazon because there might be more returns.
Right. Yeah. So the most return category generally is going to be clothing, where you're going to see a pretty high return rate. Like you're going to see that on eBay, definitely. On Amazon, you're going to see any like even more. I can tell you that in the video game category, my return rate is generally about 3%. So that's not huge. Like I kind of just build it into like my model, like just expect that. For books, it's lower, about 1 to 2% in my experience in books. For clothing, don't sell that much clothing on Amazon, but from some sellers, I've heard that they can get like 20% or higher return rates, just because like there's a lot of returns on there for that. So it really depends on the category, but I kind of feel like um, you just have to kind of build into your model and expect to have some returns with it. And over time, it helps. Like you're going to like just build into your model and kind of deal with it, basically.
I think that getting returns also means that you're getting sales.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, and I think you mentioned last week that you actually just you filter out the return emails because you don't want it to mess up your day, and I think that's smart. I
Yeah.
have that too because you don't want to screw up your day. Stay in a good mood to keep listening.
Well, the best thing about Amazon in that way also is that you don't even have to deal with the return really, because it's returned to Amazon and they'll return it to you. So the only thing you really need to do is just relist it when you get it back. Doing FBA, you don't like. I don't even like look at like you said. I filter out the return emails now because I don't want to see. Like I don't need to see that because it's all going to be done for me basically. And when I get the item back, I'll just go ahead and relist it. And with video games, it's really not that big. There's a lot of people who kind of make a big deal about return fraud and stuff like that, but that's a very, very small part of like the I've had some issues with it, but it's such a small part of the overall sales that like it's not worth giving up your business just to like be miss out on a couple like 20 or $30 sales. Like you're going to make so much more in the long run basically from it that is not worth like ruining your day over like one return.
Absolutely. Somebody asked why I quit Amazon. I didn't quit Amazon. I just haven't had time for it. But this is one of the reasons why it's nice to have different types of experts on the call. If you guys want to join, this call happens every single Friday at the same time. Go on the Patreon, which is linked below, and sign up under Jack's tier. And then you can reach out to us anytime, but specifically Jack for Amazon help because this question, how long will it take to make 50K per year on Amazon? That's the 1K per week quit my 9 to 5, work for myself dream goal. So, how long did it take you to make a full time living on Amazon?
Yeah, so I started I made my account in 2013 and kind of gave up on in 2014, and then got serious about it again in 2016 when I learned about garage sales and thrift stores and stuff like that. And I think I started doing that again in about the summer of 2016, and then I basically went full time in 2017. In 2017, January of 2017, I was making about like consistently about $10,000 per month in sales. So it took me about 6 months to kind of like learning about it to going full time in it.
That's great. I would say I know a lot of people who've made that after 1 or 2 years of Amazon,
Mhm.
but I don't know a lot of people who don't do Amazon full time. Don't usually dabble. It's something that people go all the way or they don't do. Like Amazon's got a lot more rules. They're stricter on condition, and I feel like it also has a higher upside. So, people generally don't go back to eBay if they gain traction on Amazon, except for Tosh Hanger, who's on the call right now. She's doing both.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about this with Monica last night as well, who's has a call on Thursday night, where for me, my most profitable like sales are going to be on Amazon. Like I put most of my time into my Amazon business because I get the most profit per hour out of listing on Amazon. But there's still stuff on eBay that's worthwhile for me to do. Like for instance, like if you there's certain things you can't sell on Amazon that you can sell on eBay that works well there. For me personally, it tends to be more rare, collectible, high-end video games is good to sell on eBay. Uh, and that's like I don't think I agree that probably 99% of my sales now are on Amazon, but I think that like eBay still has some value to me, definitely.
Okay, a couple of questions. Well, this one's come up a couple of times. Maybe let's talk about some basic tools that are must have for online arbitrage or maybe Amazon in general.
Sure. Yeah. For online arbitrage, there's tactical arbitrage, which is what a lot of people use to source. It's more of a higher end tool. It's a little bit difficult for a beginner to get into when you're kind of when you're more experienced with it. It can be useful to kind of find deals and stuff like that. I just for me, I really like to follow a lot of deal Twitter accounts like Slick Deals and just general like for video games. There's video game deals on Twitter. There's Wario64 on Twitter who's really good at like posting deals. So there's a lot of tools that you can use for that. Um, but tactical arbitrage is generally considered one of the best tools for like scanning stores and finding deals. That is a little bit more advanced to use, but not something I recommend right away.
So this is, back in the day, I don't know if you remember Watch Me FBA, that guy's Instagram account. I think he's now gone, but he literally made a full-time living only slick deals.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
He's like I haven't talked with him personally, but I know he's super smart with it. He did a lot of high end like electronics flipping, and he mostly follows slick deals, according to him, what I remember. So yeah, you can do really well just following deal sites, and that's what I do a lot of, especially during quarter 4 when there's tons and tons of deals out there. I just like look at like daily, refresh my Twitter feed, look for deals and stuff like that, especially in video games.
I love it. Maybe Jared, you can put your what kind of dog that is in the chat because people are wondering on YouTube. And then what was the profit margin on your 10K? That's always like a question people ask. You don't have to reveal that.
No, that's fine. Like I like talking about profit. This was way back, like in like 2017, when I was doing a lot more thrifted
Do you
items.
think we have enough?
I was
Oh, okay.
I was doing a
Sorry,
lot
sorry.
more. Oh no, it's fine. I was doing a lot more thrifted items, and so your profit margin on used goods are going to be super high compared to if you're doing online arbitrage on new goods. So generally, uh, what you can expect on used items is you're looking at like your margin is going to be generally about 40 to 50% of your sales on used. On new is going to be significantly lower, usually about 15 to 20% margin or so. Back then, when I was like getting started with that, I was probably making about $4,000 to $5,000 profit per month, mostly doing used books and stuff like that. Nowadays, like last year, I did over $1 million in sales for the first time on Amazon. And overall, my margin was probably around about 27% or so, since I did a mix of new and used as well. So did really well on it. Like uh, you're like you're going to get more margin from used items, but it's going to take more time to do. With new items, you can scale a little bit higher and do a little bit better with it. But yeah.
This is a great question that I asked last week, but let's talk about this because this is really important. So, how much of your day do you spend searching for products or sourcing?
Yeah, so I have an abundance of inventory right now, so I'm not spending as much time these days with it. I'm spending a lot of time listing. Most of my time is listing. I actually looked at it a couple days ago. I was talking to Ashley, who has a coaching call on Thursday as well. Um, and I believe about 10% of my time was spent sourcing and 90% was listing, of like the breakdown of listing to sourcing. So most of my time is spent listing instead of sourcing, but I have a ton of inventory right now backlogged. So um, maybe like like that's about a general breakdown. Maybe generally about 10 to 20% of my time is spent sourcing usually.
That I think for me personally, also at this point, once you develop, if you pick a niche and you start ordering bulk in any kind, I think 10 under 20% of your time will be actually ordering the stuff, and then you'll have to process it and get it listed. It really surprised me when you said that you were spending 4 hours a day listing.
Yeah. Well, right now, like I'm listing a lot of used inventory on Amazon, which takes a lot more time to list. During Q4, when I'm sending in video games, I can list like 200 new video games an hour, so it can just blow through the inventory super fast. When you're doing used more, you're trading your time a little bit more for money. So it is more time involved to do used because you have to like clean it, test it, all that kind of stuff with it. And also for sourcing, back in the day when I was going to thrift stores and garage sales daily, probably about half my time was spent sourcing more back then because I was basically looking for really good deals and really high end deals and kind of building up my capital by going to these garage sales and thrift stores.
Yeah, I love it. So now is this a little bit of a transition. Happy Feet Harrison is asking, can you help me understand product ranking and how to best utilize these numbers? Maybe this is a good general overview of what sales rank is.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I love about Amazon is that you have the sales rank. You don't have you don't have something similar to that on eBay, I don't think. The great thing about sales rank is you can tell right away how often an item's selling by the sales rank, and there's tools you can use like Keepa to that tracks the sales rank over time to see exactly like how often the item is selling. So you can know like this video game like sells once a week or so. So you can get a good idea of how often an item is actually selling, so you can realize like this item is like sells all the time, it's definitely going to sell when I send it in, or this book for instance might sell only once a month, so it might not be worth uh, like buying as many of it. But for sales rank, it is you probably need like an entire video on it, so I'll give a brief breakdown. In each category, there's a different sales rank. For books, it goes up to like 20 million or so, and what it is a representation of like each time an item sells, it goes down in sales rank and has like a top number associated with it. For books, there's like 20 million different books that have sold at least one time on Amazon. And generally for the book category, anything under 1 million is considered reasonably fast selling. Anything under 100,000 is very fast selling in books, but it depends on the category. Since each category is ranked based on that. For video games, anything under 10,000 is usually pretty fast selling, usually like maybe at least one sale a week, usually one sale a day. And anything over 100,000 is usually very slow selling, even like 50,000 for video games. So it depends on the category.
So, how important do you think it is to have a business website when you sell on Amazon?
It's not important. Not important at all. I mean, it can be useful if you want to get wholesale accounts or stuff like that, but you don't need that.
There's like the theory that if you have a business email, Amazon will take you more seriously with customer service, but I don't know if that's true.
I haven't heard that personally, but no, I don't think you really need that. Really, I don't think that's necessary.
How can you reduce or avoid storage fees? I don't know if you could avoid them, but
Yeah. So like you want to make sure your items that you're sending in are actually selling by looking at the sales rank, kind of like I talked about. With books, it's more of an issue because they're larger items that you're sending in. With video games, it's almost a non-issue because video games generally, almost every video game will sell over time if you have the price right on it. So I generally, and the amount you're paying for storage fees is super, super low for for um, something small like a video game. It really depends on the size of the item you're sending in. For shoes, you're going to pay more for storage because they're bigger. Um, but storage fees isn't a huge deal for me. With books, it's more of a bigger deal because they're a little bit larger and books tend to be a little bit slower selling. Also, on my Instagram, video game sourcing on Instagram, I do have like a chart that kind of lists out the storage costs for each item. Like I've used that a lot in the past. So that's a good visual representation of what you're going to be paying for like a video game. You're going to be paying about 1 cent per month to store it. So it's quite small, the amount that you're paying for that.
Okay. Before we get into some more questions about apps, this is like my favorite topic, which is what things are important during listing. Because I consider grading items, accurately grading what the item's condition is, maybe the highest thing you need to do in your business so you don't, um, or actually, I guess the overview is I want to talk about how important account health is.
Yeah. So for grading video games, I do take it super seriously. I want to have the customers have a really good experience when they buy from me. Generally, the grading is very similar to eBay. You have like new, very good, good, acceptable for used items. You definitely don't want to sell a used item as new, so you want to be really careful about that, like not like selling new items that have wear or are used or anything like that, because your account health is a big issue on Amazon. A lot of people get suspended or have issues when they're sending items in that they shouldn't be sending in, or having customer issues or anything like that. So that is something that you have to be really careful about. Like for video games, for used video games, I make sure to test them. If I'm sending in new items, like for like they have to be like perfectly new, giftable condition. Like absolutely, like that's really important, because you can get complaints against you if you're selling items that have wear on them as new on Amazon. That's a huge issue with people run into. But I basically just try to really over deliver, and I think my account does pretty well with customer reviews, and people are generally really happy about kind of the condition of the games they get from me. And I really take it seriously as kind of a collector myself in that regard, and make sure that the customer is actually receiving a really good item.
Okay. Any feedback on Helium 10 versus Jungle Scout?
Yeah, those are more used in the private label world. Usually, I don't do much private label on Amazon. I have used Helium 10 in the past and have used a little bit of Jungle Scout, but not a ton of it. Helium 10 is fine. I think it's a little bit expensive for what you get with it. I do have a subscription to it currently, and do use it for some research tools, but I don't think they're completely necessary for your Amazon business to subscribe to either of them, unless you're really into private label or want to do private label, because they're more geared toward like private label sellers, the tools in them.
I love it. Okay. So it's starting to sell on Amazon, similar to starting to sell on eBay.
Sort of, I guess. Like usually like I think eBay is easier, definitely, to learn, because you can sell anything on there. You can take pictures, you can describe, you can pretty much sell anything. On Amazon, you're more strictly like selling the product on. You're not making your own listings. You have to basically sell the item. Your item has to basically be the same as everyone else's item on the site, but generally you're going to get a lot higher prices on Amazon than you will on eBay. So there's definitely rewards from it, and you're going to do pretty well, like focusing on it, whether if you put time into the platform.
Let's see. I think that might be all the questions on YouTube. So maybe we hop into the chat here. Let's see if there are other questions. But so Monica was in the clothing category and still only had 9% in sales. I'm sorry, in returns.
I'm wondering if that was on. I think that's Amazon. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
is
Amazon. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a little bit like higher than mine. But I think that she does a lot more clothing and stuff like that, where you're going to see a lot higher, like 20% returns, um, like or more on clothing, where they're more conditioned to like return clothing. I think on Amazon than they are eBay a little bit. So you're probably going to see higher return rates if you're doing clothing on Amazon.
So another question that's not in the chat, but I get pretty frequently is there a recommended amount of money to start with Amazon? Is it a situation where you should put a little bit in and then keep rolling it over? Do you recommend continuing to add money every month? How would you approach capital allocation for Amazon?
Sure. Yeah. I started really small with it, going to thrift stores, garage sales, sourcing books, video games, like toys, stuff like that. So you can, if you're doing that, you don't need much money at all to get started with it. If you're going to want to go to retail arbitrage, go to stores to get inventory, you're going to need more money to get started with it. But like, you really don't need much if you're kind of using the used, working on used items mostly, because you just, if you're buying something from a thrift store for $5 and you're selling it for 50 to 100, you're going to have a pretty good like return over time with it if you keep reinvesting your money. And basically that's what I did getting started with it, is I just kept reinvesting my money and kept rolling it over and kept buying more inventory over and over again and just kept rolling and kept going with it. And um, if you're sourcing inventory cheap enough and you're consistently making good decisions with it, you can make some mistakes and do well with it. If you're, especially if you're buying from thrift stores, they're like with books, like it's not uncommon to like scan books and buy books from thrift stores for like $2 to $3 and then have some that you're selling for $100, $200 textbooks. So over time, like the more like time you can invest into sourcing the cheaper inventory and just keep rolling it over, it tends to work out well for you.
Love it. What was one of the hardest things to get your account, your Amazon account up and running?
So I was a little bit lucky in that I started my account in 2013 and didn't really use it that much until 2016. So I avoided some of the issues with it. So I never had to really go through. I don't think it's that hard generally. I have talked to some people who just kind of need to verify their address, make sure that maybe submit a bank statement or something like that. The hardest part probably is getting ungated in categories. That's generally what most people run into trouble with, because most people these days can't sell in toys or certain categories without getting some sales, getting going with it. I started a lot with used books, which is a mostly ungated category, which I think is probably a really good area to get started in. And I even ungated Nike by just selling books. So just kind of getting started with it, getting going with it, getting some sales under your belt, like getting started in ungating categories is probably the hardest part with it, and getting going with it.
Do you recommend going to the clearance section and starting there? Or do you recommend scanning everything and looking for something that maybe sells for over retail? What is your pricing strategy?
So when I got started, when I first got started with it, I was kind of learning about retail arbitrage, people who went to clearance sections of Walmart, Target, and stuff like that. And that really did not work for me. If it does work for you, I know there's a lot of people who do super well with it, who did get started with retail arbitrage and still really do well with it. But for me, that just didn't work out well for me. Um, so what did work for me was going to thrift stores, going to garage sales, sourcing super cheap items. And generally my business model is to buy stuff at a discount under market value and then sell it at market value. I feel like you run into like a lot of negative karma or negative situations when you're constantly trying to chase like items that are selling above retail price, because you're generally like, the customers aren't that happy when you're charging over the normal price for an item for it. So mostly my model is to try to buy stuff under market value and then sell it at market value or like a slight discount to it. So that generally is what like my strategy is for that.
I remember this guy Paul was selling Hatchimals, and he posted in one of the groups that he was in Hatchimal hell because people were returning them at record pace, like with reviews like unsatisfactory hatching experience, and just like he had so many returns. And it was, when people are paying triple retail, they're just, it you have a really good chance for a poor customer experience.
Yeah, the Hashimals, I think that was 2016, the first year
Yeah.
I got involved with it. So like that that whole every year there's going to be a hot toy during Q4, and Hashimals was it that year. And I heard the same stuff where people were having issues with returns from them. There was this big story where an author bought like hundreds of these Hatchimals and then couldn't sell them on eBay or Amazon because she didn't realize that you had to be ungated to sell it on Amazon. And even I couldn't sell Hatchimals on Amazon back then. So like there's always going to be this hot toy, and like this year was the PS5s. They were selling for quite a bit. PS5s, Xbox, new Xbox consoles, graphics cards. There's always something that's selling for quite a bit above retail. You can go that route, doing that, and it is profitable. Um, but I think that you run into a lot of issues with customer like satisfaction when you're like trying to double or triple retail price on it and chasing these hot items. So I do it sometimes. Like I sold a couple of items like that in the past, but like I generally try to buy stuff inventory cheaper and instead of chasing the hot bolos and hot items.
Taylor Exchange is asking, would you recommend trying to sell on Amazon as a merchant? So this is merchant fulfilled, or do you recommend getting a subscription and sending items into Amazon for Amazon FBA? There's probably a few things we can clarify there also.
Sure. Yeah. You don't need a subscription to do FBA. They do charge you $1 per item you sell. If you're not a pro seller on there, it's $40 a month. It's probably worth going pro seller from the start. If you're going to sell more than 40 items, it's worth doing. You can do the free account if you're merchant fulfilled or don't want to do FBA or whatever. But I went with the pro account pretty much from the start with it. And I am 100% FBA. I don't do any merchant fulfilled. I don't do any like selling. I don't do any like shipping of the items myself. I do 100% FBA because I want to take advantage of Amazon's fulfillment network to kind of scale my business. So that's what I do with that. There's a question in the chat. Says, I bought video games from Target, Best Buy. Can I sell them as new on Amazon? Well, Amazon asked me for the invoices. I tried to apply for the wholesale account, but had not gotten approved yet. They sometimes will ask for invoices, especially if there's customer issues. Also, if you're a newer account, it's more likely they'll ask for invoices to verify that you're doing everything correctly with that. The stuff from Best Buy and Target, you can submit them as proof of the item. Like they will accept those. But generally you're mostly going to run into problems if you're like selling them in like a beat up condition or not actually as new. So you can submit your receipts from Target or Best Buy if you run into issues with that.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, the dog. Everyone loves the dog, Jared. Beautiful dog. Also, yes, or I just wanted to clarify that you don't need an Amazon Pro subscription to start FBA. It's just recommended if you're going to sell more than 40 items.
Yeah, a couple of other things with it is that you can't get ungated if you don't have a pro account. So if you do want to get ungated in certain items, you do have to have a pro account to get ungated. So if you're serious about it, I would just go with pro account to start with, because most people probably are going to sell 40 items in a month. So it probably is worth it to get just from the start. Also, from what I've heard from people, is that Amazon kind of hides the free account, where they make it kind of difficult to figure out how to sign up for the free account. So probably is worth like just like going pro subscription right from the start with it, so you can start to get ungated. And I think just generally it's probably worth it to pay that amount for it. Like I pretty much started as a pro seller and kept it all the time.
I love it. Let's see. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you guys are on YouTube. If you have any questions about Amazon, I do recommend that everyone learn as much as you can on Amazon, because we're in e-commerce and it's the biggest platform, and it will continue to crush every other platform because they are taking over the world and they literally just keep reinvesting all the profit. It's insane. I think Amazon it's I don't know if there could be something else as big.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth it to kind of invest in it if you're doing eBay now, to like just get started with it. Just create an account and get started and start building up some history with it, because like over time Amazon has become harder and harder to sell stuff in. And if you start building up your history with it, like right now, it's going to be helpful for you like over time.
How do you get paid on Amazon?
It has changed over the years. I have an older account with it, so I get paid out once every 2 weeks the entire amount that I've sold. These days, it's a little bit different. If you make a new account these days, I think they they save a small amount of your money to deal with refunds. I don't have that on my account personally. I think generally they pay out once every 1 to 2 weeks, depending on your account level. It's changed a little bit over time, though. Unfortunately, it's not the same as eBay, where eBay's if you with eBay you can do daily payouts. You can't really do that the same on Amazon, so that is kind of an issue with it for capital getting started with it. But they're probably going to take some of your. It'll probably take a little bit of time to um, access your capital compared to eBay. eBay is a little bit better on that, unfortunately.
What are your thoughts on different categories people can start in? And someone specifically asked about grocery.
Yeah, I don't do much grocery myself, but that's one of the best categories on Amazon, definitely. There's certain items that may be local to you that um, people around the country want. Especially in grocery, there's a lot of like local items that aren't available. What a lot of people do is they go into stores and they scan items there and see if there's certain ways that they can make money by selling it and reselling it on Amazon. For grocery, that's one of the best categories for it. And generally, one of the better ways to do it is they do bundles with it. They'll bundle up like maybe a 2-pack, a 3-pack, a 4-pack of items together and then sell it at a premium. For instance, maybe there's something they can buy locally for $1 or so, and then pack it up into a pack of 5 and then sell it for maybe $20 or something like that, and then make money after fees and everything like that. And also kind of bundling certain items together, like something that generally would make sense together in grocery is very popular as well.
So I do want to mention this because we have Hustle at Home Mom as a coach also.
Mhm.
And I actually think that for most busy parents, if there's a one person working and the other person at home, I even though I'm an eBay seller, I actually think it might be better for busy parents to do Amazon. Even though, it seems like just because you're outsourcing the storage and the fulfillment of the item.
Yeah, I've talked to her a lot about that. She's great. Um, and like she's talked to me about that as well, about how it helps her like not have to it's a really one of the really big things about FBA you can do is you can spend like choose your time that you want to spend on it. Where like I spent a lot of time the past few months listing video games, and because we're at home because of all this, and we're at home anyway, so might as well like list more. But if I were to, for instance, decide that one day I don't want to, like, I want to just take a month off or 2 months off or even a year off, what's going to happen is that all my video games that I've listed in the past are going to sell over time. So, and I'm not going to actually spend any time or effort to actually do it myself. So it's a lot of time freedom you get from it. Um, you can do a lot of work at once and then take some time off, and your items are going to sell over time and just consistently continue to sell because Amazon's the one who's fulfilling it. So the only thing I have to do is maybe spend 5 minutes a day looking at my account, like, and kind of just make sure everything's going okay with it. And I don't have to like ship or anything like that. And I can take time off and just stuff will sell anyway.
I think another thing to keep in mind for busy parents is Ashley always talks about building a foundation. Just getting on the Amazon and learning how it works, learning what the metrics are, learning what sales rank is. You can use this at any time. Amazon is not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, like it's I just really like the kind of the reason I got on board with it is because I didn't want to ship out items myself. And I thought it was not scalable to really ship out each item myself, and wanted to just, I know a lot of people do super well with eBay, but I just don't like, picking items and shipping out like hundreds of packages each day. And during Q4, when I'm selling like 500 items per day, like I don't even know if I'd be able to like ship that many packages that I did a day. I know a lot of people who do merchant fulfilled on Amazon during that time period, like just kind of kill themselves during December, just shipping out tons and tons of packages per day. So I really love FBA for that.
Do you have to still do UPCs for bundles?
I don't, I don't do any bundles myself. I'm not positive how they do that at the moment. I think you probably do have to do it. You might have to get UPC for that, but I've never actually made my own bundle, so I'm not positive how they're doing that currently. I believe you do though.
Yeah, that makes sense that you would have to do that. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there are any other questions. Let's talk about brands. Like,
Okay.
can you sell any brand on Amazon?
Getting started, definitely not. um, it's so Amazon's very gated at first. There's a lot of stuff you can't sell. You probably more stuff you can't sell than what you can sell getting started on Amazon. Um, Over time, what's going to happen is that you're going to be able to auto ungate brands, which means if you try to ask Amazon to sell an item, they'll just give you the ability to do it right away. They'll just instantly say like you can now sell this item now. Like you can now sell, like we were doing on a call. We were checking a few brands and like Van Heusen or some of these clothing brands were able to sell like ungate right away. But especially like higher end brands like Nike are going to require invoices to do, and it's going to take longer to be able to ungate those. Definitely.
I love it. Amazon or Monica, you're home. I love it.
Hello.
So Taylor is asking, do I see myself becoming an Amazon seller? Yeah, maybe someday. I think it's important for me to make sure my account is healthy and active. I don't know if I can go hard at Amazon right now, but I see myself as an Amazon seller in the future, yes. I want to talk to Monica for a second. If she can talk to us about, last year Amazon becoming your new bay, and how do you build on that this year? Because you're also building your eBay store back up.
Yeah, so you guys know in the group, I've been talking ad nauseum of finding my new normal, as I do, trying to find my new normal. Because yeah, eBay was my number one bay for so long. And then when COVID hit in March of last year, Amazon switched to my number one platform. But not only did I switch to my number one platform, it just killed eBay, even when over my best years. So I'm trying to find out what the new formula is, like what my new happy medium. It's not going to be something like 50% eBay, 50% Amazon. It's going to be something like my energy is like 70% Amazon, 30% eBay. But with eBay, I'm backtracking right now because my store went cold last year. So I am trying to get back to at least the ballpark of where I was. And I need to be honest with myself and see what that really cost me as far as time and opportunity cost to not be on Amazon. So I'm trying to figure it out. I'm currently doing like just all of the data and trying to like monitor everything to make sure that I end up splitting my time correctly. I'd love to maybe be on Amazon only, but I really like being on both platforms.
Whenever
Yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say like Monica switched to Amazon like or did a lot more of it last year and the years before. And I've been trying to convince her to do more of it.
Yeah, and I'm trying because I do. I mean, even though I feel like I just have this romantic relationship with eBay because it provided for me and my son for almost a decade, and the sweat equity that went in there, it's not something I can easily throw away, but at the same time, I want to make a smart business decision. So I'm currently trying to figure out if that's possible.
Whenever I think of you, Monica, sometimes I think for you the best eBay store is no eBay store. But then I understand the sunk cost. You've been doing it for so long, and it raised your kid, and
Yeah.
it's just most people don't make it to the point that you're at with Amazon right now, where it's actually generating money. It takes like a team and like a mental tenacity to get over
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, because it's definitely intimidating, especially people who start on eBay.
Oh, 100%. I always say it's like going from eBay or just the thrifted world in general of eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, anything like that, and then jumping on Amazon. It's like learning a new language. And it is scary at first. So the person in the chat earlier that said it's scary, I agree. I felt the same way. And it's definitely a frequently not asked question, but statement that people make. So definitely.
Cool. Well, Monica, do you have any questions for Jack while we have him?
Well, I chat with Jack constantly. He's one of my good friends. I'm so lucky to have him. But no, I would only say if we have Jack in this group, please take advantage of him. I want people to know how big of an asset he is to the Amazon reseller community, to myself, to Ashley, to many people he's like quote unquote coached or encouraged on the side. Jack knows his stuff, and I'm so glad that he's become my friend, and I just hope everyone knows that he's a wealth of knowledge, and definitely take advantage of it.
I think Don posted in the chat that he's to hold his feet to the fire. He wants to send in an FBA shipment. That's how it starts.
Yeah. You just have to do like just one shipment to learn it. Like you don't have to do it perfectly at first. Just like ship in 1 or 2 books, just to learn the process of it and just get started.
That's great advice. And all of these are recorded and posted in the group. And last week you kind of talked a little bit about your Amazon journey, which I think is useful. So everyone should go back and listen to that, because I think it shows that you getting to this point on Amazon it was rocky, just like everybody else's journey. It's not a straight line to the top.
Yeah, I failed badly at retail arbitrage when I first got started in like 2013, 2014, and kind of gave up on it. And then learned that I could go to thrift stores and source used books and stuff like that. So there's a lot you can it took a long time for me to kind of get to the point where I was with it, but I'm super glad that like I got involved in it.
Definitely. Let's see. Is there any other chats or any other questions on YouTube? Richard's asking, I thought about switching to Amazon, or at least including it. What advice do you have? He also has a full-time job. This guy's got a full plate.
Yeah, I think it's the more platforms you can learn about and figure out what works out well for you. Amazon definitely was my thing with it. I think it really works well if you are busy, because you can put in the time when you need to with it, and you can take time off. Like I said, take some time off and your stuff will sell anyway. You don't have to be there to ship out each item individually. But for some people, eBay is their best option. For some people, Poshmark is. For some people, Amazon is. So I think you just the more you can kind of learn about these platforms, the better off you're going to be on it.
I love it. Let's see. Taylor is saying he mainly sells shoes and jeans on eBay. If he were to start Amazon, how would he go about finding items that he's ungated to sell?
So, if you're doing used clothing, you're probably going to thrift stores. You can't sell used clothing on Amazon, unfortunately. So generally what I did was I mostly focused on books at first to learn more about it. I started scanning books. I used scanning apps to see what books would sell. You can download the Amazon seller app for a free way to scan items to see what they're worth. But for me, if I were doing it, I'd probably just do books to get started with it, to start to ungate in it. That's what I did. But there might be other paths that work out well for you.
I love it. Let's see if there are any other questions. What's your favorite app for scanning products?
Yeah, so getting started, you should download the Amazon Seller app, definitely. That's free, and it'll get you a good start on it. It'll give you a good, you'll get a camera to scan the barcode on it, and you'll be able to look up items pretty easily. But when you're getting more advanced with it, if you want to scan books or go to book sales like I did, you need a little bit more advanced tool. The two I really like are Scout IQ and Scoutly. I personally have used Scoutly the most, but Scout IQ is a good one too. And I haven't been out to thrift stores that much in the last year or so, but I used to go out daily, like scanning items, and was super into it. I had a Bluetooth scanner on my phone. I would just go scan books all the time, go to book sales, go to garage sales, and just like scan everything.
All right. Well, I love it, Jack. We're on time. So thank you
Oh,
so
nice.
much for hopping on and answering questions for everybody every Friday. Everyone, again, check out Jack's Instagram. I put it in the chat. Actually, Jack, let us know where we can find you if people want to reach out.
Sure. Instagram. My Instagram is video game sourcing on Instagram. My YouTube channel, which I don't post to right now, but maybe start posting to soon, is Video Game Source. I'll try to comment on the video as well. And that's where you can find me. I mostly like post about video game selling, and Amazon FBA. So
I love it. And guys, Jack is a coach in our Patreon group, and you can hop in, join his tier, and come to this call every single Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So appreciate everyone. If you missed, we answered every question. Also, if you want to watch the replay. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much.